Hey there, Blue Mages, Liam here. Welcome back to Blue Academy. A few days ago, I released the Moon Flute opener video, which honestly is the bulk of the DPS rotation, but I'm going to talk slightly more about what DPS are going to be doing for the most part here. So our spells are going to be what you see here. That is Song of Torment, Bristle, Moon Flute, Feather Rain, Shock Strike, Sonic Boom, Whistle, Angel Whisper, Etheric Mimicry, Serpenaka, J-Kick, Triple Trident, Tingle, Cold Fog, Rose of Destruction, Matra Magic, Phantom Flurry, Night Bloom, Winged Reprobation, Sea Shanty, Being Mortal, and then these last three spots are actually going to change depending on the fight. Breath of Magic is what you'll want to take by default if you are the Breath of Magic applier. Do note that only one of these can be active on the boss at any time. It's kind of like Flare Star and Bozia. So you'll only have one person per group with this. Similarly, there's Mortal Flame. In a group, you'll want one person to have this as well. This is a dot that has no duration, so it lasts forever. And then, of course, there's Final Sting. This actually loses value the higher and higher level we get because bosses just get more and more health. The sting percentage for some of the Eden bosses is like 4, so it's barely even worth taking. But if you do have room, it's good to take. Some other questions you might ask are, should we take Conviction Marcato because it has the synergy with Winged Reprobation? The answer is, if you have room for it, take it. And that's going to be the answer for any of the other questions, is if you have room for it, take it. The buff is only an additional 220 every 2 minutes, so it's pretty small. But if you want to have a 220 filler in addition to Sonic Boom for, weaving and slide casting, then Conviction Marcato is going to be your best bet. Other things are Off Guard or Peculiar Light. Again, if you have room, take it. That's pretty much it. I don't think there's much else I'm forgetting because the rest will basically be utility things like Magic Hammer or Candy Cane. Wild Rage combos with Revenge Blast pretty well. You can Revenge Blast, so if the fight like E8S has a lot of Revenge Blasting, you'll drop some spells to make room for that. And the order to drop spells is Bristle, and then Sea Shanty, and then the Rose of Destruction if needed. Okay, so let's talk about the actual rotation. So the bulk of our damage is just going to come from doing a Moon Flute opener, which I've released a video for. So the highest absolute damage that we can do is if we Moon Flute every minute, and one of those Moon Flutes ends with Phantom Flurry and one of them ends with Apocalypsis. But for Extremes and Savages, it's just simply not practical to do that, or even possible a lot of the time because of movement requirements and so on. So I'm just recommending the one Moon Flute. But what we can do is we Moon Flute every 2 minutes. That's our default. And if you're the Breath of Magic person, you will want to Moon Flute every minute if it allows, just to reapply that Breath of Magic. Breath of Magic itself is 120 potency every 3 seconds, which means that it is 2400 potency every minute. So each application of this is 2400 potency. Bristled, that brings it up to 3600. And then on top of that, a Moon Flute gives it an additional 1800. So pretty much, even if all you're doing is applying Breath of Magic, it is a huge gain still to do that. So I'm just waiting for my cooldowns to come up, and then we're going to go through a full 2-minute loop to see what that looks like. If you're doing the Mortal Flame opener, you can just do that every 2 minutes, and you don't really lose anything. Same with just the regular old Winged Reprobation opener. I'm actually going to move my Bristle and my Breath of Magic onto my bar just to make it easier. I'm really bad, so I have a separate bar just for Moon Fluting. Also note, I have a 2.2 GCD. I am using the recommended crit spell speed set, so it makes this a little bit easier. But even then, sometimes my ping, if my network is misbehaving, doesn't allow me to get the full thing off. So when that happens, I just move J-Kick before Moon Flute, and it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to get banned for doing that, but it lets me fit everything much more comfortably. But here you go. You can see I got everything off. Okay, so what do we do after this? So when you're doing the Breath of Magic opener, you actually have a little bit more freedom with your Winged Reprobations and stuff. But the gist is we're going to be hitting things as they come off cooldown. So we're going to do our Ruse of Destruction, and then we're going to just start using our Winged Reprobations. And it actually turns out that it's a gain to do a Whistle and a Tingle on your Reprobations, over just doing Sonic Boom, Reprobation. So we've got our fourth one coming up here. And then pretty much, this is just going to be a lazy Moon Flute, but I'll do a Rose. We'll do a Song of Torment. We'll Bristle. Do our Breath of Magic again. Get a J-Kick. There we go. So I've reapplied my dots. I used whatever came off cooldown in that time. And that's pretty much it. So that's going to be our 2-minute loop, if we are the Breath of Magic opener person. If we are not, then we just do one opener every 2 minutes. You are welcome to do one every minute if you want to, but I don't really recommend that. It can be a little bit spooky if you have to be doing mechanics, but it is technically a gain to do that. Inside dungeons, we really don't have to worry about what's going on in there. In a dungeon, you can just bring Hydro Pull, group things up, bring Ram's Voice, and bring Ultra Vibration. You'll just kill everything. Bring Missile as well for things like bosses. As it turns out, a lot of the Shadowbringers bosses are vulnerable to death effects, so that's what you're going to do. But that's pretty much it. DPS is pretty straightforward. Not a lot has changed compared to before. It's basically just cram more spells into Moon Flute. Well, that's it for the DPS stuff. As always, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more Blue Mage stuff, and keep enjoying patch 6.45.